Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to A Gathering Place. Today's date is Sunday, March 27th, and we are talking about the International Gullah Film Festival that's coming up starting April 1st, and we are so excited to have a returning guest, and then also one of our producer directors of a screening during the film festival. And this is a hybrid event. We're going to have some in-person events. We're going to have some virtual screenings, but you got to get registered. So all through the show, at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see the website address where you can go ahead and get registered. But we're going to be talking about a lot that's happening from April 1st through the 16th at the International Gullah Film Festival right after this opening.
Hello, I'm Marilyn Hemingway, and welcome to A Gathering Place. I said, I'm stepping back because we have young voices who want to be heard, and they're moving on something.
Branding is really important to you and your business.
Even the basic type of technology, you learn it all.
And people are
Good question. Well, we're back, folks, and we're going to go ahead and get started and bring in our special guest who's always with us this time of year, Amy Kelly. Hey, Amy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm just going to tell you, I love your hair, by the way. I know you. It has nothing to do with the film festival, but Black Girl Magic. Black Girl
Amen.
Magic. Amy, it's always good to see you. And let me go ahead and put up our little scrolly thing that gives the website here. So we have that running all evening. Y'all, there it is. That's the website. Go to and get registered for the International Gullah Film Festival that's happening Friday, April 1st through the 16th, Sunday the 16th, I believe, right? All right. So very good. Very good. So we're going to have that scrolling. Y'all go there right now and get registered. But let's go ahead, Amy, and talk about the stuff that's happening with the film festival. We've had some changes and tweaks and stuff. But I'm really excited about what's going on. And I know the first thing is we want to talk about the opening reception.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to reception. Yep. Happening April 1st at the Executive Flex Space at 1001 Front Street. All right, there you go. Can you see that?
I can see it, yes.
All right, very good. And I hope everybody else can see it too. So this is happening it's going to be an opening reception for the film festival at 1001 Front Street. And that's at the Access Alliance Insurance Group Executive Flex Space. And we're going to feature that day Tea and Twos with Jacqueline Williams. We're going to have a tea tasting, which is, we just had a little conversation just before we came on the show about, China, Africa, and everything. So tea is just so appropriate for our culture, and people don't realize that. There's even a Charleston tea plantation in Charleston, Watermore Island, more accurately, in South Carolina. But Amy, I am so looking forward to this. What about you?
I certainly am. I love tea. I've invested in tea, because as I've gotten, I've aged gracefully, trying to push away from the coffee and incorporating the tea in my life. And I'm always up for tasting different types of tea and getting the history of like where it's from and how it's grown and, just adding that to what I already drink.
Very good. And you're right. I love tea also. And I don't want to say it's because of age, but we have the sweet tea. But y'all, this is different flavors of tea. And Tea and Twos, Jacqueline Williams, they're actually a member of the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce. And she's coming to do the tea tasting, but she dehydrates the ingredients herself, the different fruit, the tea leaves, all the different herbs and stuff. And then she makes these herbal tea mixtures based on the Gullah Geechee culture. And I've had those teas, and I'm telling you, it gives you a totally different take on tea. So we thought this would be really cool as part of the opening reception with the International Gullah Film Festival to feature teas, because it's just based in our culture. And of course, we know the film festival does what? It celebrates the Gullah Geechee culture and the African diaspora. So we certainly are looking forward and invite everybody to the opening reception. And of course, you can see on the poster, call Marilyn Hemingway at 843-318-8644. Anything else, Amy, that we need to know about in the opening or the first week of the film festival?
Yeah, so we are featuring a feature called Freedom of North Carolina at Harvard. It's going to begin roughly around 8:00 p.m. And the filmmaker, director himself, James Jones Jr., will be in attendance.
Okay.
And I absolutely love this film. It's got young talent. It's got great talent. You can tell from start to finish, from the writing, the directing, the acting, and even there's some singing in there. Everything was put together beautifully, and I'm so proud of this film. I'm so proud to have it at our film festival this year. It really showcases what the best of what we can do when we put our minds to it.
So are we going to get a chance to not only like mix and mingle with the director, but we'll be able to meet him, and will he be able to answer questions as part of the screening?
Yes, he will be available to answer questions as part of the screening. Before the film starts, of course, we'll introduce him and give him a chance to talk about his film. And the audience also will have a chance to ask him questions before it gets started.
All right, very good. And see, y'all, this is a film festival, and Amy and I got together. It's 4 years now, Amy. It's 4 years, right? Yeah. How time flies when you're having fun. Amen. And we knew we wanted 2 weeks of events and things happening, not just like one event a day, but we want to fill up 2 weeks, 24 hours every day of 2 weeks of a film festival with receptions, screenings, parties, parties and webinars, in this case webinars because we're a hybrid event, but workshops, anything to do with film storytelling, because that's what film is. It's visual storytelling. Exactly. And so I'm looking forward to Freedom of North Carolina. I'm looking forward to meeting Mr. James Jones. I actually went to school with a James Jones, but this is the different James Jones. So So I'm looking forward to Freedom of North Carolina with director James Jones on Friday, April 1st at the Howard Auditorium. And I love that poster. We talked about this previously, 2 weeks ago when you came on to talk about the film festival. Just the posters are just very powerful this year. So maybe because of COVID, we were all pent up and had all that creative juice that needed to come out. But man, these posters have been really sharp this year, and I'm very, very impressed. All right. So what else do we have coming up?
We have recently partnered with Filmocracy to put on our virtual presentations. Filmocracy.com reached out to us, I guess about 2 weeks ago. And their audience wanted our film festival there. And so I was very happy to hear that. It just shows that people are interested in Gullah culture. People all around the world are interested in seeing what we are putting out, and that all of our 4 years of work is definitely worth it and paying off.
It's starting to pay off. Yes, it is. So I'm excited about that. Amy had to explain to me what Filmocracy is. So Amy, can you explain to me what's Filmocracy? And it is exciting to hear about, but I'm a layman. Right. Explain that to me and how exciting it really is to have Filmocracy really wanting to be involved with the International Gullah Film Festival.
Yeah, so I think everybody in the film industry knows the American film market. And the American film market went virtual, I think, 2 years ago. It's the same company that brought you their virtual event. So they are very high tech. The rooms are, catered to what we want them to look like. We can schedule videos on demand. We can do presentations live. You can be sitting on your sofa. You can be anywhere in the world and just connect with people that you probably wouldn't meet ever. So they specialize in doing streaming film festivals specifically. So we are very blessed that they partnered with us. They're sponsoring everything. And you can be, if you're a member of Filmocracy, then you can get in. And if you get if you register with us, you can also get in virtually.
All right, very good. So this is like a big deal in the film industry.
Yes, they're recognizable. So hopefully when our independent filmmakers see, the possibility of this type of distribution during the film festival, they'll be apt to or eager to submit, their work and see and know that there's a good chance that they will be given space.
All right, very good, very good. And y'all, this just speaks to the work that Amy has put in growing this film festival, and the future is bright. And I'm telling y'all need to call us now for next year. If y'all want to be a sponsor, y'all need to jump on it this next year. And if we could squeeze you in this year, go ahead and call us, and we'd love to squeeze you in this year, because this film festival, every year we add on new stuff, and it is really growing, folks. And we're not completely full every day on those 2 weeks, but that's the goal. We're gonna have something or some things, a whole bunch of stuff happening every day for 2 weeks, and this is going to be one of the premier film festivals. I'm claiming it.
Amen.
I'm claiming it, Amy, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yes. Very good. All right. And what else? I just thank you for all this graphics and stuff too.
Oh,
and what else do we have?
Let me think.
Root Magic.
Yes. Eden Royce. She will be reading an excerpt from her book, Root Magic, which she published traditionally. She is originally from Charleston, South Carolina, and she currently lives in England, the United Kingdom. And she, she has had an amazing career as a writer. And of course, I'm like on my knees praying that this book becomes a film, because our kids need to see this. It is a book that is rooted in Gullah culture for middle grades. I read it with my son. It's just phenomenal what she has accomplished with her career. And she's written all types of different works. She's had her stuff produced as audio. She's been in magazines. She's been all over the internet. She's an amazing, inspirational person. So I definitely want people to hear her read her work and ask. She's open to answering any questions that you may have about how to get traditionally published. This is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm very happy that she agreed to take time out on Saturday, April 9th from 4 to 5 p.m. to read and talk with our audience.
And the wonderful thing about a hybrid event, the virtual part of the hybrid event allows her to come into the film festival from the United Kingdom,
yes,
virtually. So we can tap into her talent. And I have to tell you, I agree with you, Amy. Just judging by the cover of the book, Root Magic, it's a beautiful cover.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine bringing something like this to film, and I'm with you, man. We gonna put a prayer down. We gonna put a blessing down. We gonna meditate upon it. We gonna call on the ancestors that this book is made into a movie, and I'm looking forward to the talk, because just from the book and the fact that she's from Charleston, South Carolina, this is just exciting, and I am really, and this is part of with film, the storytelling of films. It's not just about the film itself, but it's the books that tell stories also. It's the producing, it's the directing, and everything. And I have a list of films that are coming up, and I want to bring up the list because we have a special guest with us tonight. And so let me go ahead and bring up that listing, because I believe the first one is, what do we call it? Is it Sweet Home Alabama? Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. About a chief and his protege. It is about Africatown in Alabama. I'll let Frederick Murphy tell you more about that. But that they did a documentary on Disney Plus, and that's great. But I love it when we tell our stories ourselves.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in, because I don't know what I did with my Frederick, he's back in the back room. So we're going to bring him from the green room up to the screen, and we're going to talk about his film. Hi, Frederick. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are y'all doing this evening?
Doing wonderful. It is wonderful to have you here. And tell us about your film screening. And well, the first thing is, are you going to be here? Are you able to come and hang out with us at the film screening?
Yep. I'm coming and I'm hanging out. I'll be there on that Saturday. I was hoping to come on Friday, but unfortunately, I have something to fortunately and unfortunately, it's a good thing that I have to do here. But I have something going on here in Charlotte, North Carolina, that's not going to allow me to leave until Saturday morning. So yes, I will be in the place.
All right. Well, we're going to be just excited to have you here at beautiful Georgetown, beautiful and historic Georgetown, South Carolina, y'all. Just before we came on to the show, we were talking about the rice culture and the rice history of Georgetown and just everything, the Gullah Geechee community and a foundational community and culture of the United States. But we're here to talk about your film and the screening and just your background and everything. So let's just start with the film. Tell us what you want us to know so we can come and see that film.
Yeah, so just what Amy alluded to, it does have elements of Africatown in it, and Africatown was created and given the name based on the last documented slave ship in Alabama, and there was roughly around 110 individuals that were brought here 52 years after the institution of slavery had ended to the shores of Mobile, Alabama. And the ancestors that were on that vessel created their own sense of home, if you will, or to the best of their abilities, with the school, Mobile County Training Schools, First Baptist Union or First Union Baptist Church, I believe it's First Union Baptist Church, and just a bevy of other things as it relates to survival. Zora Neale Hurston wrote a book, I think it was about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Barracoon, and it talked extensively about Cudjoe Lewis, but there were others, there were a lot of other individuals that were on there, and there's no shade to what it is that she did, because I love that book. But for me as a filmmaker, I love the underdog story, right? Because it allows us the opportunity to connect with people that we can relate to, right? Whether it's that janitor, the cafeteria lady, this nurse, the postwoman, the postman, the doctor, right? Just the person that was chopping tobacco that we knew back in the day, at least in Middle Tennessee. That's I know a lot of those guys. The preacher, like just community, right? And so for me, I wanted to make sure that I did not focus so much on the Africatown story, but focus on the descendant of of somebody who was on that vessel. And that person that was on that vessel was named Chief Aluale. That was his African name, right? And when he got to the United States, he took the name Charlie. So Charlie Lewis. So you have Cudjoe Lewis, which is in her book, and then Charlie Lewis, which is the chief that I identify in the title of the film, which is called Sweet Home Alabama, A Chief and His Protege. And the reason why it was titled A Chief and His Protege is because also the focus is on one of his descendants, who's named Joycelyn Davis. And Joycelyn is in that. She's been in these documentaries, the one that Questlove just did. They're actually cousins. They come from the same Lewis line, which is Joe Lewis, which is the son of Chief Charlie Aluale, right? So you see how all these things are connecting, right?
Yes.
So the reason why I titled it A Chief, Sweet Home Alabama, and that was just kind of like a play on the word, is sarcasm with that, A Chief and His Protege, because if you look at the artwork, and I'm sorry, I meant to send that to you, but if you look at the artwork, you'll see where the O is for home, it's a broken shackle, right? It's a halfway closed shackle, the circle part of it, and it's broken, right? To identify that these individuals were enslaved, and it was not necessarily home-like for them when they arrived, but they had to make it what it is that they had to make it, of course. But we always do. We make the best out of whatever it is that we're given, the scraps, right? But the interesting piece with this is that she is a cancer survivor. And so after her and I forged a relationship, I'm thinking like, man, will you allow me to kind of just highlight Charlie? Like, I know a lot of people know Cudjoe, but and Rhodesia, I believe that's her name. I can't remember. I think it's close. I'm close to that, right? She's actually the oldest living individual that survived, and that family is in Selma, or she was in Selma, Alabama. But the parallels, I thought this man was able to survive this voyage, right, from Africa to the United States, 52 years after the institution of slavery had ended, the transatlantic slave trade had ended. And she was able to beat cancer. I'm like, you're from Africatown. You're well-versed on your history. Mm-hmm. How much did your ancestors' experience go into your fight? Right? Like, what's the connectivity here? And so when we started talking, she was like, they were my everything. And I'm like, boom, okay. You all have similar paths, different, but somewhat similar, right? You both had to fight something. Mm-hmm. You both had to try to maintain a sense of community. He brought Africa with him, right? When he got to Mobile, the Americanized Africans who were there would make fun of him because of the way that he talked, right? And this was documented. They have all these records down there, and which was, they had kind of, they had assimilated to a certain degree, right? Mm-hmm. To what Christian culture was during that time period. And so, he had to fight through that adversity, and then, he helped found a church down there and a bunch of other things. And she is the voice of her ancestors today. She's been in CNN. She's been on CNN. She's in this new documentary, The Questlove Joint. She's 60 Minutes, BBC, Discovery Channel, National Geographic. Like, whenever there's anything as it relates to Africatown, she's usually part of the face of it. So I just said, listen, I don't have a lot of money. Whatever I'm doing is going to be out of pocket, but I love your spirit. And we had forged this friendship for about a year prior to us filming. And I said, I just want to come down and do this, and I did. And it's been a blessing. I've been screening a couple of places, got a screening coming up here in Charlotte. And with some of those proceeds, I'm really big on community. I vowed that before we even started filming that I would give a scholarship in the honor of Charlie Lewis, in the honor of Charlie Lewis. And I was able to provide a $500 scholarship to a student down there in Africatown who had to present something as it relates to local Black history in the area. And so it's just been a blessing.
I'm fascinated when I'm listening to you tell this story, how much it's in my head. I'm thinking of a circle, the circle of life, the circling back to our ancestors, circling by bringing the strength of our ancestors forward, and she's surrounded by them. It was everything. So I have this image in my head, the circle. But you were saying in the Sweet Home Alabama, the O is broken, just that the circle is not fully closed. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that in doing this film and learning more about her and her life, that her healing is maybe going towards closing the circle?
Yeah, she's on a voyage right now of healing, right? Like all of us, right? Who've been stripped from a comprehensive understanding of what our history is, and that's of who we are, right? Mm-hmm. And that's multifaceted, right? It is the K through 12 school system. It's higher education. It's news outlets. It could be family who did not have the insight on certain things, who possibly didn't have anything to give us, right? Mm-hmm. Or family members who have been so traumatized by it that they don't want to go there, right? So that's weaponry that has happened itself from a mental and a holistic standpoint, that people are still in this fight or flight and paralyzing phase in their lives. The older folks, I think of my grandmother, whose brother was hanged in 1966. I think of some of the individuals who I've interviewed from an oral history standpoint that would say, I remember walking this road and we would have to get down in the ditch. And my grandmother would say that you get down in this ditch and you wait 15 minutes to make sure that that car doesn't circle back around on these back country roads in North Carolina or Tennessee or Virginia, right? Paralyzing things, right? Who wants to go there, right? And we should not bash people who don't go there, right? Because they're functioning in the space of survival as well. They did it then and they're still doing it now, right? So I know this is a long way of saying it, but yes, this is definitely closing that circle and healing for her, just as this film festival is for all of us, being exposed to these different experiences by all of these different artists and these creators that are putting out quality work that wants us to that's focused on us understanding a deeper understanding of ourselves.
That's so true. Amy, I want to applaud you because every year the selections that you are providing for the film festival are really reflected in Sweet Home Alabama, Chief and His Protege. The nuance, the complexity of our existence, the complexity of our history, who we are, and to have this opportunity to have this conversation we're having today with Frederick because of what he produced, his creativity, and recognizing the value. It's just I applaud you because on a personal level, I just feel like I grow every time I get exposed to this stuff. But what you're bringing, I now I see why Filmocracy wanted to tap into this and what's going on. Because this stuff is powerful. Just sitting here listening to it, I'm looking forward to the screening. And what day is the screening again? Saturday?
Yeah, I think Saturday. I forgot what time.
It's
April 15th or April 2nd?
April
2nd.
April 2nd
on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. And this is going to be at Howard.
Mm-hmm. We're still working out the exact location, but
all right, gotcha.
On Saturday.
All right, so everybody stay tuned for Sweet Home Alabama, A Chief and His Protege. We have here, is it director or producer, Frederick? Both. All right, yeah. Director and producer. And let's touch into, how did you get into film? What's your background that led you to going into the film industry and becoming a director and producer?
Yeah, I can definitely get into that. And Amy, if you had wanted to, I just sent the artwork for the film via email. So if you wanted to change that out, I do apologize for not sending it earlier.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
I had to take care of these children. And one of them's out there crying right now. It's bedtime, right? So technically, I went to school. I'm a mental health therapist, right? So grew up in Tennessee, family long lineage of sharecroppers, and just always around family. My families were they were sharecroppers. They got duped like a lot of sharecroppers did. A lot of them moved up north to Illinois, and then when they found out things weren't so rosy up there, a lot of them came back down south to Tennessee, where I was raised. And because I was just always around like grandmother, great grandmother, I was fortunate enough to meet my great great grandmother. And around great uncles, great uncles, aunties, I was just surrounded by the history. My grandmother is one of 14 children, and 10 of them are still alive today, and they're all like in their 80s, right? So I was just engulfed with history, right, to the best of their knowledge and what it is they could say. So fast forwarding, I went and got a degree in psychology at Tennessee State University. And then I went to get a degree in professional psychology, professional counseling at Argosy University of Atlanta. And then I went to get a degree in transformative leadership at Bethune-Cookman. And so I'm doing this thing that we're supposed to do as Black men, right? I've been told, like, you got to do this to be that much better. And that's not no knock against women. This is just what was consistently instilled in me. Because I know, y'all hold it down and have, if not some of the, we all have our struggles, no comparison. But in 2015, going into 2016, I hit a bad stint of burnout. I was the director of counseling at a university here in Charlotte, and I was the only therapist on the campus for 2.5 years.
Wow.
Now, that's a lot, right? You're constantly running back and forth, dealing with individuals who may have been hospitalized for drugs, so individuals who are facing who have been sexually assaulted, rape, just in your everyday stuff that you have to do on the campus from an administrative standpoint. So I was just really getting burnt out, like badly, gaining weight, couldn't do my walking and my hiking and biking and all the stuff that I love to do. And I said, well, I can't continue to work harder than my clients. And I can't continue to keep working harder because y'all's budget ain't working, right? So I went in and I demanded, I said, yo, y'all got a week. If I don't have help here, then I'm leaving. And I'm a Black man that's a licensed mental health therapist. It's not a lot of us. So I knew I could go anywhere to get a job. It's just that I was so passionate about sticking with my HBCUs and working with this university that I was going to stay. But magically, the budget just magically appeared and I got help. And when that happened, I said, I can't get back to that point again. So I have to do what it is that I need to do to make sure that I don't get burnt out. And going back to collecting oral histories was the perfect elixir that the creator brought to me. And that's what spearheaded everything. So my plight originally started as a oral history project, and where I traveled throughout the South, collecting oral histories for individuals. Went to Mississippi, Alabama, Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, just towards the South. I didn't go to Florida though. And then I was literally sitting up in my bed and I just literally heard the voice of my ancestors just saying, like, you can do more, right? Like, you can do more than just oral histories. This is a visual society, right? Like, we see things, we like to touch things. Like, that's the type of society in which we're in. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? This oral history thing was cool, but I'm gonna have to go right back and retrace some of the steps that I did and get people on camera. So I was able to get the very first film student that graduated from Johnson C. Smith University's film department, brother from the East. And I said, listen, I know you just graduated. I don't have a lot of money, but I need you to go on the Southern tour with me so we can collect some oral histories. And he was like, okay, what's the South mean to you? Because he's from Maryland and North Carolina was as further south he's ever been. I'm like, oh, Alabama, Tennessee, Virginia, boom, 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 boom.
Deep South.
Right, deep South. And he's a big brother with dreads too. So he was like, I don't know about that, bro. And I'm like, man, come on, it's only popping. So we did, we went down to the Delta, went to some juke joints, so he's all Southern now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mississippi blues.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that film was titled The American South as We Know It, and interviewing individuals about their specified experiences during Jim Crow. So that spearheaded things. And then the follow-up film to that was The Other Side of the Coin, Race, Generations, and Reconciliation, in which we spent time in various different communities, white folks, Black folks, and the Native American community, discussing what reconciliation looks like, right? And that was in 2020 when I released that during the pandemic. And then after that, this one was my solo project, and I've been blessed to have directed multiple other projects since then. So I'm really starting to take on this film director title now, even more so than counseling, just because of the fact that this is a more open field and more open title that does not necessarily require confidentiality like the counseling piece does. You know what I'm saying? So I'm being recognized more for that versus the counseling piece. And not that I'm in it for recognition. It's just, it is what it is. I can be more open about what I do on this versus that, because I can't say clients' names or things like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how everything molded, and the creator created that for me. And I've been blessed ever since, of working on like three more projects right now. And I've just been blessed.
Your journey is fascinating. I just love to hear when people you say blessed, fortunate. It
Mhm.
sounds like you have found your path.
Mhm.
And we are fortunate that you did, because you producing these wonderful films and telling these interesting, fascinating stories. And that's just listening to you and talking about how you were recording oral, the oral histories, and going back and doing the visuals and growing from there. It's just
Yeah.
a fascinating story. So kudos to you. And I'm excited to meet you in person
Yeah. Thank you.
on Saturday, April 2nd.
Yep.
So be careful coming down from Charlotte.
Yep.
And this is why we do the film festival, to meet folks such as yourself and hear about what you've produced and directed, and the impact on us as individuals, but also the impact on the communities that you feature, but also the communities that are viewing the screenings and everything. So Sweet Home Alabama, the Chief and His Protege. I'm looking forward to it. Is there anything else we need to know? Amy, what else do we need to know?
Well, things are still developing, and, on Saturday, April the 9th, we will be back at the Howard, and we have a larger slate of films to show, short films and documentaries. We have partnered with the Howard to include the community, seniors, senior centers will be there as well. Everything at the Howard is open to the community. So the other private events, of course, you definitely have to register to attend those things. But everything at the Howard is open to the community. We are pulling in vendors to be at the Howard as well. So if you're interested in setting up and telling everybody about your store, about your business, or anything, please do reach out to us and let us know. It is free. We will not charge for vendor space at all. So just let us know. Spaces are limited though, so as soon as possible, please. And
All
we're
right.
looking forward to a really great finale weekend of the 15th and the 16th, where we're going to have presentations by Marilyn Hemingway and Ms. Zenobia Harper, who
Yes.
is amazing. Oh my goodness. I heard her last year speak. I had chills. I was just like, I was like a little child. Like, wow, really? Oh, wow. So excited about what the closing is going to be. I'm excited about the opening, of course, but we're going to go out with a bang this year. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and a gathering place. We're trying to bring folks on and tie it in with the film festival. So our regular gathering place, we're going to tie that in also. Anything to do with the culture, because this is what it's about for me. It's just celebrating who we are, celebrating the culture and the whole, global diaspora that we are, because we're the roots of everything. And when you start diving in and hearing the stories, such as what Frederick is talking about, and the complexity of who we are, the complexity of our ancestors. It's such a beautiful story.
It is.
Yeah.
And I've gotten into the habit of telling people the indigenous people are the ones who are going to save us when it comes to climate change, when it comes to social justice. And we need to listen to our ancestor, listen to the stories. And once you listen and really start understanding and learning more, gaining knowledge, it's a powerful thing. It's freedom, actually.
Yeah.
You will find that. And Frederick, I'll ask you this: have you found that, not that you're not tolerant, but that petty things kind of have they just roll away from you?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does, but I'm also really deep into genealogy research too, right? So the thing is, there's so many people that are walking around without their cup full, right? And that goes back to that piece in which I was saying earlier about not necessarily understanding what Blackness meant as it relates to education from a K through 12, higher education. And then when I mean education about people in my own community, right? Love Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and everyone else. But there were so many unsung heroes in my own community in which I grew up in that I felt robbed from not necessarily knowing, right? So I feel that when we take heed and we put ourselves up to task to research and understand who we are, right? The people 3 generations behind us or within our own family, and then spread that out into community aspects and community entities in which we're part of that community, that it creates a sense of holisticness, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're able to do that, then you're able to look at some of this other stuff and be like, well, damn, that is quite petty, and I really don't have to buy into that energy because I've created this own source of energy for myself that's rooted in everything prior to me, as well as the present, as well as what it is that I want to forge forward in the future, and making sure that I have my own tribe that focuses on the exact same thing, because that's the main thing, right? Is recognizing that what's your tribe looking like? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then also with that, empowering yourself to say that I don't have to be monolithic, right? We're not made to be one thing. We were never one. We were never deemed to only have one skill as Black and brown folks, right? So I really didn't adopt that until I started getting into film work, because I thought I went to school to be a therapist. That's what it's going to be to 65. And then the ancestors was like, nah, bro, like you researching your family since you're 20, since you were in your 20s. I'm 42 now. And you know, you've been helping people find their family. You've been doing this oral histories. Like, look at what you're doing. Why don't you marry those two passions together? And that's what I did. And I think that that's what helps tremendously whenever I am sitting down gathering oral history, is that I can utilize that some of those counseling skill sets I learned technically, and then impart that into the work that I do with oral history. So to your point, yes, the petty stuff, it just kind of goes along the side, because you know you have a bigger mission, and you kind of don't let that get in the way. And that's from anybody. That's from Black folks, brown folks, white folks, red folks, whoever, right? You just kind of sweep it under the rug and keep on moving to your own, to marching to the beat of your own drum.
Well said. And the reason I said it, just listening to you and that energy that you are manifesting, just kind of led me to say that, because you can feel it. The energy changes around you, and I'm careful, because in Western culture, it's either going to be appropriated or made fun of. You know, and you touched on that when you touched on the individuals that you're featuring in your film, that those who had assimilated to some point were making fun of, actually not just the individual, they were actually making fun of their roots. And not knowing that because of that assimilation. So we have to be protective of it. And sometimes protection is letting stuff roll away. Not necessarily sweeping it under the rug, but realizing when you're focused, it just kind of just moves away from you. And goes on about its business because you are focused and doing your thing. And that energy, when you're right, it is very important that we surround ourselves with folks with energy. And that's what our mamas and daddies told us, you know, the ones who had a little wisdom. Be careful of the company you keep.
There you go.
Yeah. And another thing, as you were talking, that I remember that occurred to me is we have a saying here in Georgia, and I know other folks say it too, but there's something in the water. Because there is something going and looking at your local heroes that you may not have known about.
Yes.
That local leadership that you're like, unfortunately, you don't get it in the schools, and hopefully you get it at home, or you get it through reading, or however method you use to gain more knowledge. There truly is something in the water. So when you talk about ships and things moving people across the water, it always comes back to water.
I agree.
So I'm looking forward to this. I'm excited about this film. I'm excited about the whole film festival. Folks, it's April 1st to the 16th. Here, it's going to be a hybrid event in Georgetown, South Carolina, various venues. So keep up with the website you see scrolling at the bottom. And of course, it's going to be virtual. So make sure you register so you don't miss a screening. And come on down and meet these folks. James Jones and Frederick are going to be with us to talk about their screenings. And this is what you want to do, folks. It's just, I love stuff like this. Is my thing, y'all.
I know that's right.
My thing to just, I could stay up all night hanging with folks just talking about the screen and like, why was this? What was this said? So I always look forward to this. And Amy, once again, kudos for you to doing this wonderful job and pulling it together and everything, and these excellent producers and directors. Looking forward to it. Frederick, we're going to let you go. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we are see you next week very soon. One week.
Yep, very, very soon. And if people want to follow me, if anyone wants to follow my work on social media, it's at History Before Us. So that's how you find me, and it's just how it's spelled, at History Before Us. That's on social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then website is historybeforeus.com. So everything is History Before Us. So that's how you're able to get in contact with me. And I look forward to meeting you ladies.
And if y'all stay tuned to the Gullah Geechee Chamber Facebook page during the film festival, we're going to be popping in and out with some interviews and stuff, and just kind of do some live shots. So y'all stay tuned, because we're going to get that information from you, Frederick, and get it on Instagram, and just remind people, History Before Us. That's what we want to remember and get more information. Frederick, it's been wonderful to see you. I'm going to wrap up here with Amy with some more details, but we'll see you next week.
All right. Talk to y'all later. Have a good one.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Peace.
Amy, anything else we need to know before we wrap up this evening?
Well, I think that is everything. Just remember, everything is still, anything can happen at any time. We're still talking to people that want to bring in other things. And of course, even though it's going to start in 2 weeks, we got 2 months to pull something in. And of course, we've got more than enough space. If you feel like this is someplace you want to be a part of, I definitely assure you we can find space for you.
That's right. And if you got a book, we welcome book signings. We'll find a space for you. If you got a book that you wrote and you want us to promote it, just contact Amy or myself. Go to the website, TIGFF.org. Get registered. Contact information is on there. And we're just excited about this. We're going this every year. This grows, and more is happening. So Amy, I'm looking forward to seeing you two in person. COVID, y'all, we do a lot of stuff online. Yes. And we gotta buzz in and out, meeting people, but we're doing it. We're doing it, and I'm just so excited, Amy, about what's going on. Anything else as I wrap up here, Amy?
As always, Marilyn, you do an amazing job. I mean, I would not be able to do this without you and without your partnership, your dedication, your activism. From the first day we met, how amazingly supportive you've been, and the hard work you put in. Honestly, I wish I could just open my brain and show you how much you mean to me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Amy. I'm just excited. When we first met, and I'll tell the story quickly, and I said, I had plans to do a film festival at Gullah Geechee Chamber, but you were already doing one. And I said, hey, I'll give up what I'm doing. Let's just put it together, because I am so for collaboration.
Amen.
And with our community, from whether it's our West African roots, Gullah Geechee roots, we cannot move forward if we don't collaborate together.
Yes.
So that's why we welcome people. Y'all contact us if you have a book, you want to do a book signing, anything, you want to be a vendor at the Vendor Village at Howard. Contact us, let us know, and it's free at the Vendor Village, because this is about uplifting our community. And just let us know and contact us, because it's about working together. And if our ancestors are not calling when we say that, Amen. They're not calling any other time, but when they say work together in collaboration. Amy, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. It's always been wonderful. We'll be talking, I know, a lot over the next 3.5 weeks. 3.5 weeks, for almost not quite 3.5 weeks. 3.5 weeks. We're going to be talking a lot. So it's always good to see you and everything. But I'll see you in a few days.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Amy, we'll see you later.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, everybody, the International Gullah Film Festival, April 1st through the 16th, you see at the bottom of my screen, www.TIGFF.org. Go there, get registered now. It's a hybrid event. We do have in-person events. We do have virtual events. Just stay tuned on the website. It'll let you know if there's any changes in venue or anything. But we got the opening reception Friday, April 1st. We got a movie screening Friday, April 1st, April 2nd. For 2 weeks, there are a bunch of stuff happening. online and in person, and we're always excited to have you with us. I want to remind everyone that you're watching A Gathering Place, and you know, I don't know what's coming up because we got 5 Wednesdays, y'all. 5 Wednesdays, I'm pretty sure we do in March. I don't remember what we're coming up this Wednesday, but I might just go ahead and repeat this show so you guys get registered. All right, it's been wonderful hanging out with everyone today, and looking forward to seeing everybody at the International Gullah Film Festival. Let me go ahead and throw it out. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday, the rest of your weekend, and remember, get registered at www.TIGFF.org. Looking forward to seeing everybody starting Friday, April 1st.